One of the great pleasures of working in the conservation field is our peers, dedicated, highly educated professionals. It's satisfying to work with people of this caliber. But there's a downside to it. The conservation community routinely produces print and web publications that require elite reading skills to read. That's because we ourselves usually have elite reading skills. Let's quickly review lessons 1 through 4. Higher Flesch-Kincaid scores mean a document that is easier to read. And higher scores mean that more citizens can read it with confidence. Lower scores mean that fewer citizens will read it with confidence. And less confidence means less conservation action of every kind. How do we end up with such low scores? It's too many cooks in the kitchen. Here's a chart that shows how it works. As the number of conservation professionals who are working on a publication goes up, the readability of that document usually goes down. How does that happen, you might ask? Well, it usually works something like this.
We're seeing reports that people don't know what to do at an intersection.
Some people are slowing, others are accelerating, a small percentage are backing up, and the rest are crashing.
So we're looking for signage that makes people want to bring their vehicle to a standstill before they continue.
Essentially a sign that tells people to stop.
Essentially. If you look on page 16 of your brief, you'll notice that about 50% of HVMs are female.
Yeah, HVMs?
Home vehicle managers, but don't neglect the other 50% who are primarily male.
Okay, so we're basically targeting all drivers?
No, we're targeting women, but we're also targeting men secondarily. Wow. I love where you've taken this. You guys nailed it.
Yeah, I think this is pretty spot on. Having said that, we're getting some additional details from upper management since the initial briefing we gave you. I think we have the opportunity to make this piece hit a little harder.
Yeah, harder.
The main message is still the stopping occasion, but we're also going to need to include personal safety cues, any appropriate right-of-way legal, and our partner logos.
See is bumping that logo up just a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
We just got word from the UN that we can't use their logo.
Then let's bump up the EPA logo.
Okay.
I think somewhere on there we need to show the stopping occasion.
It needs to be telegraphic.
Yeah, some people just don't read, you know?
It's great. Can we try a new line? I showed it to my daughter and she didn't really get it.
Yeah, circles feel very 90s to me. Can we try a different shape, too?
Can we try a softer headline, though?
And a web address, in case people want more info?
Maybe a burst that says new. If it doesn't make it too busy.
Keep imagining a line of cars stacked up at the intersection.
Yeah, I think we need a more complete call to action so people know exactly what to do after the pause.
I'd also like to see maybe some people smiling on it.
You know, to remind drivers that stopping isn't required, it's also fun.
You guys got all that? I'd have to say, I think you finally got it.
You guys did an amazing job of fitting all of our suggestions in on one sign.
Seem familiar? I bet it does. So what can we do about that? How can we prevent the phenomenon of too many cooks in the kitchen? Professional marketers tell us that we should stay focused on our audience by visualizing our audience. Here's an example of how that might work. Let's take the example of rain gardens. The Maryland DNR encourages residents to create rain gardens on their property to reduce polluted runoff. Let's visualize our target audience. As we do that, let's remember that fewer than 1/3 of Maryland adults have a college degree. and that almost 4 out of 10 Maryland adults belong to a minority ethnic group. So let's make our target audience Jane. Jane Doe. She's a first-time homeowner, she lives in the suburbs, and she has a junior college education. Because Jane has a junior college education, a Flesch Kincaid target of 55 or higher might be appropriate. Here's how Jane helps us. As the 2 DNR employees work on that brochure for her, they ask and review based on her preferences, rather than their preferences. They ask themselves what Jane would like, how Jane would react. Here are the takeaways from today's lesson. We must involve our peers as we prepare print and web publications, but we have to manage their participation to ensure a constructive outcome. It helps to create and visualize a fictional persona who represents your target audience, and to set an appropriate Flesch Kincaid target level for that persona. Now that you've watched today's lesson, here are the next steps. First, take the quiz. It's required. Then join the forum. It's optional, but it's encouraged. Finally, review the optional reading and resources.